The Italian symphonic rock scene was overflowing during the 1970s, and of the many wonders to emerge was a 1975 album by a band named Maxophone, who put out that one long player and then followed it up with a standalone single a couple of years later. And from that album, track 3, which I will have my trusty Google friend pronounce for me,
Al mancato compleanno di una farfalla.
which translates to the missing birthday of a butterfly. And here it is. Some fine classical guitar chops here. That was so far we're hearing the work of Alberto Ravasini, who plays acoustic guitar and flute on the album. And he's also the lead vocalist. Sounds like I'm hearing a little bit of harpsichord or zither, maybe. See either of those. I don't see either of those listed here. Sounds like kind of like harpsichord, not zither. Let's see. So far, the lyrics that we've heard, the singing that we've heard, translates to this: the light floods here, the river and the trees. It goes on the grass, twists a breath, looking for the flower that he will welcome you. Kind of seems to tie in with the album cover somewhat. Molto presto sceglierà di esplorare più là. Non può fermarsi, forse sa che fra un po' morirà. Let's see. But very soon he will choose to explore further. He can't stop. Maybe he knows he'll die in a while. And the butterfly goes, shines with freedom, waves and goes. In a year, what will remain are the colors it has. He will have given them to others who will fly for you. Notice how the buildup has been so slow, and the melody has taken a long time to resolve, and that's how they a lot of these Italian bands did it during this era. It's music that you have to listen to like at least twice. Like in the Anglosphere, it's generally understood that an album needs like 3 or 4 listens before you can start to form a concrete like assessment, and then from there on get to know the tracks a bit more in depth. With Italy, the just the initial assimilation of what's going on over the course of an album can take up to more like 12 plays for all the nuances to sink in. It's a more challenging experience. And a lot of that is because of just the classical upbringing of Italian musicians from this period, Italian rock musicians from this period, and the operatic background. I mean, they had a much richer kind of old world musical pedigree, most of these players, than rock musicians in the United States and even England during this era. Something's about to break out here, I tell you. That Hammond organ we got there, played by, let's see, who is it? Organ, let's see, piano, organ, electric piano, vocals, music by Sergio Latuada. That part right there has just that the exuberance that it's always made me wish I could sing it. It makes me wish that one of the few passages in all these albums that really makes me wish I could sing Italian, if only just to belt out that line. And now we're hearing some really convoluted, kind of heavy, thick, dark interplay. I heard a bit of sax in there, some guitar, organ, kind of going into territory similar to Osana, or evidence of the influence that Vandergraaf Generator had on the Italian scene. And because they were really popular, they were big in Italy, commercially successful. Heck, the Pawn Hearts album, I guess, was near the top of the charts, or as Ed McCann said, rode the top of the charts for 4 months in 1971. Yeah, they were even bigger than Genesis were in that country. Hear that fuzzy guitar right there, like accenting that melody as it plays out. Oh, some really thick, like Quatermass ish kind of organ sounds here. Like John Lord, kind of a John Lord, or like really early Keith Emerson. That really exploding breakout chorus, even though it doesn't come along until like 3.5 minutes or more into the track, it's just completely that is like the standout moment on the one. That's like one of like two standout moments from the album. Just but the song is so complex though. It begins more in the vein of like Italian folk music of that era, and like the Lucios, those guys, and then as it slowly builds. I mean, it like from out of almost nothing, just the barest of like acoustic and guitar and flute, and then the vocals like ultimately come in at some point, like well into the first minute, and then it suddenly changes style. It changes and then breaks out into this kind of just almost like exploding. I've said that already. Just it just takes you right to the edge of the world and back, and the rest of the lyrics, the how they translated. In a year, what will remain of the colors it has? He will have given them to others who will fly for you. One told me I fought for freedom when you weren't born yet. I think, though, that the world will not change, that the flower will not bloom. Better to think of yourself than to dream, but I breathe the joy of believing in myself and the purity of those who are advancing with me. If it rains, though, drops of doubt and why. The rainbow will come, in my eyes it will be. If finally I will miss it, forced to go further, take the colors I have and continue with you, without me. Okay. Anyway, Maxophone, yeah, a great one-off band. Let's see, what did some of these guys do? Oh, I guess they reconvened for a time. I guess they've become active again in the 21st century. Um, after this 1975 album attained classic status. Um, what did our guy Sergio Latuada do besides? Oh, don't tell me he was inactive for 30 years after this album. But that is what they are indicating here. And Alberto Ravasini. Huh, they're telling me, Discogs is telling me that these guys were largely inactive for 30 years until more people discovered the Maxophone album, like in the 2000s. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, a great band. One of the best one-offs from Italy of the 1970s. Maxophone, self-titled. Um, and the CD reissue included the two bonus tracks from the 1977 single, and those are two of my favorite songs on the disc. Actually, that this one and those two songs are like really my favorites of the whole of what they did. So to see all the rubies and sapphires from Maxophone and other similar albums from the Italian scene of the 1970s. See the directory of albums by Italian artists linked in the description below. There's over 700 titles on there at this point. You can see the reds, the purples. You can queue them up at your own leisure. From this vein of music, and as well as like library music, Italian soundtracks of the era, Italian new wave, Italian electronic, Italian jazz rock, folk singer-songwriter, you name it. Um, and like and subscribe, follow me on social media, hit the bell, and until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most air travel trimaximalist, signing off.